I'm Nancy with On Point TV and Quilting with Nancy, and we are live. And to the best of my recollection, we've not had a technological problem yet. That's because we prayed first and because Bill just fixed the internet. So those two things working together. So today I want to talk to you about more creative painting on fabric. Now, I must say, when I told Athena we were going to do another creative painting on fabric and I'm getting all set up here, she's looking at me going, haven't we done this before? Yes and no. These are all steps. You never know when somebody's going to pop in that has never done it before. But I do want to show you a couple of new things and a new technique. So hold on, let me skip that ad. All right, I can see you. So if you have anything to chat, I can see the chats. Everything seems to be working so far. So if you're out there, it says 16 are watching already. So hello, all 16 of you. First, I want to show you a project that I finished from a pattern from before. So this is the fractured glass pattern. And in that fractured glass pattern that I showed you a few weeks ago, there are two patterns. One of them is the larger one, and I was working on that, and I showed you the larger version of that back when we actually had that. Hi, Georgia, and hi, Linda. But this is the one that was the paper pieced one, really the more complicated of the two. So the paper pieced one is done, and the reason I want to show it tonight is because guess what? I painted all the fabrics, even, pretty excited about this, even the setting triangles and the corner triangles. So I did not make the black fabric, that's a commercial black, but all the rest of them are. So I was very happy with the outcome of the setting triangles because I needed, what did I need? Two 10.5-inch squares. So of course I went to my 12-inch gel press, and I was able to make fabrics that were similar, knowing that with gel printing like we're going to do, it'll never be exactly the same. But because I've got the paints that I've got, I was able to get the same color combination. So very happy with that. So this pattern is available on the website, On Point TV. And oh my gosh, all of a sudden a whole bunch of stuff kept coming up. Well, thank you, Deborah. That's very sweet of you to say. All right, so we're ready to, this is it on the website. Sorry, got distracted by something she said. Okay, I'm back on track now. The pattern is available on the website, On Point TV. This one currently is available as a e-pattern, but I am in the process of getting it printed. I just sent it to the printer, so I should have hard copies of this particular pattern available very shortly. The other thing I want to show you, and this is what we're going to be talking about at the end, after I showed you the new paints and stencils, this is what I'm going to talk to you about how to do. Now, you might recognize this piece if you watched the piped binding. So can you see that? So I did a piped binding demo, and this was the quilt that I actually was demoing it on. And then one of the members said, hey, Nancy, what is with that quilt that you were showing? How do you do that? Well, I thought I might as well show you how to do that today. So I'm going to talk to you how to do that with the gel press petites. Gel press petites, like little things, petites. And then the last thing I want to show you before we get started is the quilt behind me. Now, I did not paint those fabrics. That is a fabric line from Sue Penn, a really good friend of mine. Oh, Athena says, Nancy, get off screen. My friend Sue Penn, who is a designer for Free Spirit Fabrics. You can see all of her fabric lines if you go to Sue Penn. I think it's SuePenn.com. I should have checked this before. Might be Sue Penn Designs, and it's Sue Penn is Penn. You also can find her stuff on Free Spirit. The reason I mentioned that is because this is the quilt that we just did a couple of weeks ago. This is the Grandmother's Flower Garden, and I used Sue's fabric. The Grandmother's Flower Garden is also one of the ebooks, and right now it's getting printed. So there'll be a couple of new hard copy booklets available, patterns available. But the reason I hung this up, not only just to look at it, because at the time I did not have the border done, and these are all using Sue's fabrics. Sue's fabrics inspire me. Anything that can inspire you to paint and to sew or to do whatever it is that you want to do. Like there's lots of reasons that we quilt, But for those of us that paint, sometimes that takes a little bit more inspiration. And Sue's fabrics always inspire me. And it's because Sue is an acrylic artist. She's a mixed media artist, does things with acrylic, and that's what these all are. So Free Spirit magically, through the magic of fabric, takes Sue's paintings and then turns them into fabric. And I think it's absolutely fabulous. So that's why that is back there. All right, so what I really want to start talking to you about today is a new item at Joggles. Now, all the items I'm going to talk to you about, you're able to get at joggles.com. Please use the links in the description below. Even if you're just perusing Joggles website, if you use the joggles.com link below instead of actually going to joggles.com, I get a small percent of money for every time you buy something. And, seeing as how this is my new job, I really appreciate that. But all the links are below. And I'm going to start with some new stamps. So you know how much I love her foam stamps. These are about a 1/2 inch thick. Just so you know, she actually makes them right in Rhode Island is where these are all made. So definitely made in America. And these particular new designs, I did not get them all, but these are all from Rebecca Meyer. Now, some of you might have heard of Rebecca Meyer. She's been in the mixed media, fiber arts kind of field for a long, long time. And so now she actually has been making some stamps for Barb for a while, but these are her new ones. And some of these are just really, really cool. I want to show you more about them. And I also want to mention that all of the foam stamps, all of them, not just Rebecca's, but all of the foam stamps on joggles.com. If you're not like getting notifications of when she's going and putting out a new video, she does them every week. And then Fridays, she does these little tidbits. Sometimes it's something we can use on fabric, sometimes it's not. But in the case of these, obviously we can. And just today, she did a video on some new stencils that I just saw for the first time. So you're not seeing them today. But she mentioned that all the foam stamps are 25% off. So if you've been contemplating, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, Linda, you need to go to joggles.com using the link below and get yourself some stamps because 25% off, seriously, why would not you want to do that? So I want to talk to you about those. And then I also want to use some new paints today. So up until now, for the most part, these are the paints that you see me use, and I'm going to continue to use these. Love these paints. These are the fluid acrylics from Dilutions, which, FYI, are also made in America. They're in New Jersey, made from a company called Ranger. So I've got those, but then I also am going to be using these. These are from Prima Marketing. Now, Prima Marketing, again, is a paper craft mixed media kind of a manufacturer. And these are called Alchemy Paints. Now they're specifically, I thought that these were specifically made for one of their designers. Her name is Finnabar. Okay, that's not really her name, that's her handle. Do you remember what her real name is? Anna Dombrowski. Athena and I used to work in that field, and yeah, it's Anna Dombrowski. So anyway, her handle is Finnabar, and these are the paints that she uses for a Prima. Now, I've been talking about that these are made in America and these are made in America. These are not made in America, just to keep everything on an even keel. So what I love about these paints is they have instant shine and sparkle. So let me show you some examples. So this is my first example, and this is the one that just I was 99% sure that the acrylic paints would be 100% permanent on fabric after I heat set them. Now keep in mind, if you put acrylic paint on some fabric and you stash it away in your stack of painting fabric that's this big and you don't get to use them for a month or two, they're permanent. You don't have to heat set them. But if you are painting and then you want to wash it right away, you do want to heat set them. So that's what I did with the Sparks, or a line called Sparks and a line called Metallics. And can you see the shine? Athena, can you see the shine? I mean, these things have instant shine on them. They're really, really fabulous. And the stamp that I stamped on this one is called Script, and that is one of Rebecca Meyer's new. You know what? As I'm saying that, I've got a cousin whose name is Rebecca Meyer. It
Yeah.
just occurred to me. And
You didn't realize that?
no, because
Oh,
the
good.
Rebecca Meyer design spells her name differently than our Rebecca Meyer spells her last name. Okay, so that is been washed, quilted, and washed and dried, and the paint all stayed with it. So when you're looking at these are done completely with the alchemies and sparks. And they've got some wonderful shine. This one in particular was just the paint, not a bottom paint. And honestly, if you're not seeing it, that looks like shiny pewter.
You could see it.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And there's a lot of colors. I obviously didn't get all the colors because, I'm not independently wealthy and don't plan on being anytime soon. So these are some of the colors that are in the alchemy. Oh, I love this teal one with the silver. Okay, so those are the new paints I want to show you. And there is one down here. Oh, then here's some examples of the stamping using the paints also. So that one is completely with the new paints, but this one is a little bit, that the background fabric was something else that I have done. But that's one of those stamps. Here's the flower stamp. And here is a preview to what we're going to do in a couple of weeks. I have been playing with using some different techniques to make resists. And I did this and I got some other cool ones that look like plaid. So I'm going to learn how to gel press and make plaid. And here's one of the other designs. And then this one turned out really great. I love this. This was kind of a combination. Oops. Here is, and this is also something new for me. This is the 12 by 14 gel press. So here's a really big one with the Alchemy Paints and that script stamp. When I posted the picture with the script, everybody wanted to see that. And this one kind of looks like wheels, I guess. And this is what we're going to do after I'm done showing you some of the new paints. This is using all completely the Alchemy stamps too. Okay, so let's move these out of the way. Over there, sort of kind of like. Let's move these out of the way. And these are ones that I've just been stamping. So for instance, this is that flower stamp where I actually had the pink pre-printed when I just kind of make my solids to start with. And then I stamped that with the flower that had been done. Yeah, they are kind of like the Lumieres. Yep, very much like the Lumieres where they've got that sparkle and shine. So I stamped the stamp onto the pink and then I picked up what was remaining that had an orange background. So I love the reveal when they come up all nice and clean with a little bit of crusty bits down there on the corner. Okay, so that's kind of the reverse of that flower stamp. Here's the script in reverse. There it is printed. Here it is picked up after I stamped on the plate. Here's this crisscross kind of a pattern. I'm not even sure what to call it. And this is the one that to me looks like bike wheels. And that one didn't quite turn out dark enough. So we're going to work with one of the stamps that I did not do a sample of. And then this is something new for me. It is the extra large. This is as big of a gel press as they make. Hi, Nancy and friends. Athena, you're my friend today. Okay. This one is 12 by 14. So I've used with you oftentimes the 8 by 10, the 12 by 12, and I just got the 12 by 14. Why? Because bigger is better. When it comes to fabric, bigger is better, and I wanted pieces that were bigger. In particular, I wanted to do the grandmother's flower garden, but the 12 by 12 pieces I made are not big enough to make all 6 going around, but the 12 by 14 will be. So I'm going to peel this up. This is one that I just started a base fabric of. And look at how clean a brand new plate is. They all work the same, but it just, yeah, doesn't that look awesome? All right. So Linda is asking, how long do the stamps last? Forever if you treat them properly. So when you are using the foam stamps, you want to do the stamping And then when you're done stamping for that, you know, let's say I've stamped 4 or 5 pieces and I'm done with this particular one, you want to then rest them in a puddle of water. So I have over here a piece of freezer paper and my spray bottle, and I'm going to take and spray, and then I rest the stamp in the water. When I'm all done, I clean them all off. So you really, really need to do proper taking care of with this. When it comes to stencils, I never clean them off unless I'm using glitters. But with stamps, you really, really have to. All right. So let's get started. Let's work on a piece here. I'm going to put down this silver color. I'm using the fabrics that I'm using are down here. These are the white fabrics that I sell. I sell them in packs like this. So I think right now I'm in 2-yard packs. The fabric comes like this. I tear them the length of fabric and then cut them down. So I always have a nice little stack of fabrics ready to be painted in both the sizes that I'm using. All right, so for using the silver, using the Art Alchemy kinds of ones, the ones with the shine, it is, you know what, George, I just realized these are a little bit more fluid than the Lumieres, Jacquard's Lumieres. Both work great. It's just a different feel. They are a little bit more fluid.
Define fluid.
Define fluid, Athena says, means that it flows better. So instead of being, well, Lumieres are not like, I was thinking sour cream. These are more like mustard. Does that seem like mustard?
Sure.
Like I just dipped mustard in chips the other day. Got the honey mustard out and all that kind of stuff. All right, so I'm going to cover this all up. And then the idea here, I'm going to do something a little bit different than I've normally done. After I cover this up, and because it's a new plate, you'll see that it sometimes starts to do little bubblies on me. That's okay, I'm all right with that. Then I take my brayer over here. For those of you that have not watched before, this is a piece of Decker Bond, which is fusible on one side. Decker, D-E-C-O-R, Bond, from Pellon. It's in the home deck area. And I roll my brayer off onto it to clean it. And I do it in different colors because then I could cut these out and use them as fusibles in applique. So now I'm going to take one of the stamps and I'm going to do something a little different. Normally I take this and I'll stamp it right onto a piece of pre-printed fabric. I'm going to stamp this onto a clean plate. Now, because it's silver, you really can't use it. That maybe wasn't my best idea. You can see where I'm picking it up here. You just can't see where I'm putting it down. Can you?
Yep.
Okay, good. Because this is the idea of layering, and I'm going to do a new series on layering and different things that you can do with that coming up. So I'm just going to kind of touch on it right now. So I'm going to pick up more of this, and I don't have quite as much to lay down here. So let's grab a piece of fabric over here to the side. This is more what I normally do, putting it down directly onto the fabric. What's fun about the layering is that you can get it all in one pickup. So it's just kind of fun. So I'm using 3 different places. I had 3 gel presses out earlier today. Okay. So now I've got this has been painted on. So now I'm going to take my water over here to the side. I also have some extra t-shirt scraps from when I make a t-shirt quilt, and those are the rags that I use. And I'm going to take that and lay it down in the water. Just kind of set it there because I'm not ready to do anything else with it. Now I'm going to grab one of my bigger pieces of fabric. Oops, no. I'm going to grab, I think I do. I did a light color. I don't think I'd be able to see that through those other colors that I did the solids on. I should have done a different color. Ooh. So then I put this down. I don't have another color in this size because I do have some already done. All right. Oops. Oh, yep, the first quilt top. Thank you very much. Reading them while I'm pressing on this. So I am just going to press on this and press on this and press on this until I think that it's all up, knowing that it won't be completely up. Yep, because I want to do something else with this before we go on. I want to leave that like it is for now. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, Athena.
How quickly does this paint dry compared to the Dilution.
just as quickly.
Okay.
Yep. Dries really fast. I mean, pretty much. If I didn't get it quite enough on the edges, that means I'll have some crusty pits to pick up later. So that is just silver, and that could not be more silver. I'm going to set that over here, and this time I'm going to do a darker color. I'm going to do the blue. So these are so fabulous. These are metallic. This one is called Royal Blue, and it's got so much shine, right?
Yeah,
You can see it. Yeah, good. I'm glad you could, because if it sparkles and shines, that makes me happy. This time I'll leave it down a little bit, and then because I leave the fabric down a little bit, it'll pick up those crusty bits on the edges that I was talking about. And you know what? No, I'm not gonna. I wanted to mix some colors. I want to show you how to do that too. I've learned a little bit more about doing that. All right, and here in Michigan, I've got a pretty good working time. For those of you like in warmer, hotter places, you might find that things dry a little quicker. So now I'm going to use that grid stamp. Pick it up. And again, I'm going to put it right on top of my other gel press instead of directly on the fabric, although I might do both. Thank you very much, Linda. That's very nice of you. People are saying such nice things. I like it when people are so nice. All right, I want to just get an edge here to fill in this little edge. Then I'm going to get another fabric. Or no, I can use this one. So this is another one that I did that's a 12 by 14 piece. I'm going to just set it over here, and I'm going to pick up off of the plate and put it right down on top of this one. Oh, that's showing up good. Okay. So I've been painting for about 2 days. My hands are raw from being washed and kind of smeared by being painted 1,000 times. But it's kind of fun. I got a nail appointment coming up, so I'm okay that my nails look pretty bad right now. And I work at my sister's nursery this time of year, so as you can imagine, we wear rubber gloves all the time, but it still doesn't help them manicure much. All right, don't know if you heard that, but I think Bill's cleaning the kitchen or something. So that's with just the stamping left over on that. I have stamped on this plate for a while, and I want it to dry. And now I'm going to pick up this blue. Let's do it on this one. So this is a light colored one that I'd done previous. So my favorite way to get the saturation I get is to do one solid on the bottom of each of my pieces. So like for instance, I've got over here, there's a stack next to Athena that are all just solids. There are 8 by 10s. So lots of different colors. Sometimes I'll just like mindlessly just keep doing solid, 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 solid. So then when I'm in a situation like this where I've got, oh my gosh, I've got something I've got stamped and what am I going to do with it? I can just pull out all those different colors out of the stash. All right, so this one I'm going to leave here for a while. Oops, and I've got over here. This is the one that I put in water. So I use a leftover scrap from a t-shirt quilt. Do you add layers of fabric that are painted and completely dry? I gotta tell you, the minute you put the paint on, if you are using the gel press technique, the minute you do it, they're dry. You pull them off, they're dry. This one is already dry where I did that stamping on it. I mean, they are maybe the slightest bit damp, but I don't think I've ever intentionally gone, oh, don't use that one because it's probably still wet. Nope, never crossed my mind. I paint it and then I continue to move on. It's just something else I'm working on. Using the gel press does make it dry. It's because you're not putting a ton of paint directly on it. All right, so while this one is resting, we're going to come over and deal with this one. So got a little bit of a drip of water on there. I want to get that over. So the idea here is I've got a layering going on. So I've done the little silver stamp flowers, and then I did the blue grid. It's not quite dry yet. I want to dry it up a little bit more. You know, I saw in a video where somebody used their Ranger heat gun to dry it. And rightly so, she said, that didn't work out so well. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't think that would. So you got to let it dry.
Did it move it?
And stuff. It didn't pick up good when she was done. It just really didn't work that well. Okay, so I'm going to take another alchemy, and I have found that these alchemies seem to, and of course I say it'll work great, and this time it won't, but it seems to do this pickup technique really nicely. So with this, the paint is already there, it's already dry. I'm going to add some alchemy. Now, one thing that I do differently here is I'm not going to spread it with a heavy hand. I'm going to spread it with a light hand. And I've done this a couple of different ways. Just recently, couple of weeks ago, or a couple of shows ago anyway, we did some Posca paints. I've also done this idea where I draw on the plate and then pick it up. So if you saw that video, you saw that happen. So you can do the stamping and Posca paints. You can, lots of different things. So now I'm going to lay this down. Now this was a pure white piece of fabric. I had no pre-base on this. Going to really hold this down. And probably the hardest part about all of this kind of thing is that, I got to be patient. If God was ever trying to teach me to be patient, he taught me to paint, because I have to be patient, patient, patient when I'm working with the gel press. Sometimes things go really fast, and other things like these layering techniques, you got to be really, really patient. All right, so I'm still kind of a little bit waiting for this one to go. While that one's there, while that one's doing that, I'm going to grab the tools that we're going to use for our next little demo, okay? I'll bring these and these and these. There. Right. It says you're watching paint dry. So everybody, does it feel like you've been watching paint dry today? All right, so we're going to do this one. I'm hoping it's enough. When I'm done tonight, the reason my plates seem to stay rather clean is because I'll put another layer of paint down and lay the fabric down and pack it in its container and put it away and come back to it sometimes weeks later. And when I peel it off, the plate is completely clear. So this is the blue alchemy over top of a peachy yellow red combination of dilution. And yeah, I'm kind of loving this one already. And the plate is coming off really, really clear. Ooh, all the little crusty bits on the outside edges are coming up from the previous ones. And I say that just in this corner. Is it going to come up? Oh, there's still the tiniest little bit. So that one, and actually you can see this is like leftover from some of the other pieces. Love this. I'm trying to do layering fabric. Didn't know why I wasn't picking up layers. I guess I wasn't waiting. Patience, patience, patience. You are quite right, Kim. All right, so I'm going to put my big guy away now. And I store the big guys back into their cases like this. Now, I do have the paper here, but I have that one piece of acetate that it comes with, or two of them are there. I don't put both of them on either side, but I will leave just the bottom acetate in there, mainly because I want to still be able to have the paper for when I'm doing videos. If I were you guys, oops, got stuck. If I were you guys, I probably would not save that paper at all, or the acetate pieces. I just take my plate and put it in its case. And I've mentioned this before, when you are storing your cases, do like that, and then store them standing up like this. Do not store them on a shelf like this, because if you do, you might take that bottle of paint and set that there, and then something else on top of that, and something else. I mean, if it's anything like what you see behind this curtain, and something else going stacking on up. Athena's laughing. Yeah, there's stuff behind that curtain, says the wizard. So always store your plates standing up so that you don't accidentally get things resting on them, because if you put something on there and it leaves an impression, it is called leaving the impression. It's going to be there. All right. So while I'm waiting for this one to dry, yeah, this one did. Yeah, that one turned out really great. Love that one. That one's done. I do play. Sometimes I paint them and they're not done and I got to do something else to them, and sometimes I don't. All right. So now we want to work on this little project. All right. So this is done using the Petites. So these are from Gel Press. These are the gel Pressed Petites. I think there are at least three sets that you'll be able to see, and Joggles has all the products, so you'll see them there. This was the original, and in this one, there came a 3-inch square. This little guy right here, he's a little 3-inch, little tiny guy, which occurred to me I could use him for mixing sometimes. A triangle, which I have done one, and you can kind of see their sample here. I thought that was pretty cute. I mean, doing that on fabric, wouldn't that be a really, really cute little guy? Okay. And the one that we're going to use today, get in there, little dudes. Let's put the square back, the triangle back, and we're going to use today the circle. All right. Oops. There. All right. So keep in mind, we're going to be using this circle, but you could do this on a larger scale, and I've been meaning to, I just haven't gotten around to it. They've also got a 6-inch circle and an 8-inch circle. So I want you to imagine this technique maybe with some larger circles. That would be really cool. I've taken my 3-inch circle and I've just put it on an old acrylic ruler that's at least 20 years old, because it has an address sticker from our old address and we've been here for 20 years. So an old ruler that I honestly don't think I'm going to be making any more bi-wrangle quilts. So a piece of acrylic. Now you can get acrylics of literally 25 different sizes on joggles.com. So if you need an acrylic and you don't have an extra one, you don't want to get it covered with paint, then do that.
How do you keep it to the...
The gel press just sticks.
Oh, okay.
Just sticks automatically to the acrylic. All right. And then I'm going to use some textures. So the textures are going to be some different things. So one of the textures I'm going to use is an old stamp. I don't have any idea where I got it from, right? This one, though, I do know where I got it from. And these long ones and these flower stamps, these are from Carabelle Studios. And of course, you can pick them up at joggles.com. And when you're looking, because Barb even has some of her own, so here's another case where I have some of Barb's. Barb is the owner of Joggles. Some of Joggles. Okay, open up can. I'm doing it maybe from the back side. Duh. There. So she used to have more stamps like this. I don't even know if those are available anymore. I really did love them, though. No, they're leaves.
Oh, they're leaves.
They were like natural elements or something. These were very, very cool. I'm going to use that one. And then she also does have her own texture plates that are blue like this. And what you're looking for what I'm going to do now. Now, you could do what I'm going to do with regular foam stamps. Totally cool. I just thought I'd show you something a little bit different. Ooh, I'm going to use that flower too. That'll be fun. So look for some different stamps or maybe some texture plates. And I store them in these boxes that are technically meant for the gel presses to go into. I have one gel press in one of them, but then the other ones I use to store these kinds of stamps. Okay. Then you're going to take your base fabric. So I'm just using one of my regular white fabrics. No, I haven't washed it, never have washed it, none of that kind of stuff. Just a piece of fabric. Now I want to now take this up because we're going to use this plate for mixing. So this is the one that we did the pickup print. So I first stamped down the silver flowers, which are not really easy to see. Then I stamped onto the plate the gridded stamp, one of the new ones from Rebecca Meyer. And then I put the Art Alchemy on top of that and picked it all up in one print. Whereas normally to do this, we have to do the solid, then a stamp, then a stamp. So it is just a different technique. And it's really fun when you do this with some of the Posca pens too. Right? So we'll play with that a little bit more, but that turned out really cool. Now I'm going to use the plate as my little mixing tool. And I'm going to use something else new that I have. I finally got myself a 2-inch brayer. This is the one from Speedball. I believe Ranger has one too, and it's just that same kind of soft rubber. It's not the hard rubber. I don't know, maybe the hard rubber would work. I never got around to trying it. On the solid piece of fabric, you want to draw, technically, Linda, you can do this on any fabric. So you could do this on a rayon shirt if you wanted to. I've done this on some aprons that we use at the nursery. just because we wanted them to look interesting and say tulip tree gardens, and then I did some stamping and painting on them. Anything that you think you might even want to wash. I mean, now keep in mind, most people, 95% of the people that use the gel press plates do it on paper. They do so many really cool things with paper. Rebecca Meyer for one of them, Kat Kerr, another one that does stamps for Barb, and they do it all on paper. And would it work on sheer fabric? Yep, it would work on sheer fabric. I didn't do this exact technique, but I did stamp on some curtains I have upstairs that were made with a sheer fabric, and did that 20 years ago when we moved into this house, and washed them 3 or 4 times, and they look really cool. So yep, that can work there. Paper, cardboard, fabric, you name it, it works. If it's a very, I'm thinking like burlap, but I'm thinking maybe, if it's a fabric that is very sheer or that is open linen, keep in mind, it's not going to be a solid flower. You're going to have the grain of the fabric in there. Okay, so I've taken my fabric and the fabric isn't stiff. I have not stiffened the fabric. I'm obsessed with the Mary Ellen's Best Press. I did not do that on this. I took and I drew on the fabric for this circle to make them overlap. This is a 2 1/8 inch grid, and I did it with my friction pen. The friction pens are the ones that you draw, and if I were to take an iron on here, it would make them all go away. Tried this with pencil, not a good idea. The pencil marks won't go away. So the friction pen is by far the best one to use, and you can pick up friction pens at firesidequilts.com. My friend Laura owns that one. So I'm going to take my stamp. My plate. I've got that right here. And now I'm going to do this with the Art Alchemies. You could do this with any of the acrylic paints that we've been using. And I'm going to take and put just a little bit down here. Don't need a ton. Then using my smaller brayer, because I have a smaller plate, I'm going to just smear it over the plate. Now you could just leave it solid like this. I did that before too. But what I really want to do now is impress it with something. So just like everything else that we do with gel press, it's the idea of putting the paint on and then giving it some sort of a design. And I'm just going to match that circle up right inside the square. Give it a little jiggy and peel it back up. And the shine on this is just phenomenal. I'm going to come over here and pick up some more, put it on my little plate, stamp it with this little cool stamp. And then what I'm doing with the stamp when I'm done is I'm putting it over here onto the plate so that I could do a pickup print of all of these when I'm done. Okay. All right, let's do one more of this color. I'm not going to fill the whole thing up because I think that you're going to get the idea pretty darn quickly. One more. Put that guy over here. Okay. So they are overlapping into the squares. That's what we want this to do. It kind of gives it a cathedral window look. So now the extra paint over here, I'm just going to take and sort of spread it out by stamping in this stamp, which has now turned into a really cool texture plate. Going to go all over with it. And then I'm going to let it dry. So while I'm letting that dry, I'm going to get out yet another plate because I have them so I can. Athena, what did I do with my circles? Whoop, there they are. Okay, I'm just going to grab another plate so that I can show you the other color and not have to worry about that one drying yet. So I'm just going to use my 6x6 circle, or my 6-inch circle, I guess it's not 6x6, to be my next mixing palette. So now I'm going to go for another color. Now I'm going to go for maybe something. I like staying within the same color palette, so I did that one all in blue. I really like that. My original one I did not stay all in a color palette, and it looks fine too. All right, so a little bit on here. Use my little 2-inch. Put a lot of paint on there, probably more than I needed. And then do that same idea with the textures. So this time I'm going to use that super cool circle from Carabelle. This is one of their texture plates. And now I'm going to put it on the square right next to it. And that's going to give you the overlap look. Didn't get as much paint on the one side, but that's okay. Do one more. It'll be the perfect one. This time it'll be perfect. Oops, I should have cleaned off that. Oh, I'm going to put this over there. Ooh, that's going to be cool. Okay. So you can see now the idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going to do one more because I got a whole bunch of, yep, oranges would be fun. Oh, there, now that one turned out really good.
I don't know what
So
that
I've got
design
this
is, but
plate
it
going.
looks like a soccer ball.
It's a
Kind of.
it's not a soccer ball, but I understand where you're coming from. It's got some like writing on part of it too. So this would be the idea, because I'm not going to let any of this paint go to waste. I'm going to take this paint on the 6-inch, going to put my texture plate in that, and then I'm going to transfer it over here to this one that I've already got the silver drying on from the first one. You know, in the paper world, when people do this, they actually run the, not all the time, but a lot of them will just run it off onto scrap paper and throw it away, which is just downright wasteful. There. Let me clean this up. All right, Athena's telling me that we're going on 40 minutes. All right, let me clean this stamp off real quick. What a mess, what a mess, what a mess.
Just giving you the time.
Just giving me the time. No pressure, Aunt Nancy, no pressure. All right. Clean my brayer off a little bit. All right, so you get the idea of what I'm doing here. I can clean that little guy off later. But then with this latest version of this, I did do something else. If you can see, Athena, where's my original? The one with all the bright colors. Okay, this one. All right. So when I worked on this one, and I did all the bright colors, couple of things. I'm going to try and get it to a part where you can see it. This is the one that I used the pencil on. Can you see the pencil markings, those the lines? Yes. All right.
Yeah.
They won't come out. I couldn't hide them. Okay. That is what it is. When I quilted this, I used invisible thread on the top and a white thread on the bottom, and I quilted circles. Okay. And I think it looks pretty cool. On the edge, I then painted with just a teal paint just on the side. On this new one, I did something extra. Around the circles, I used some of my paint markers and paint pens, and I actually drew around the circles, and I really like that look. I like the effect that it gave where I can really see the circles interlocking. So in this case of using pens, my Posca pens were too thick. I don't have very many thin Posca pens. So what I was using was again from Ranger and Dilutions. So these are from the same designer. Dilutions is the name of the designs that do the pens, the paints. Same exact paint in a pen form. And with that, I was able to draw circles around. So I used a pen that was similar in color. You got to give them a good shake before you start. Hold them down like that so that you know the paint is coming out. And I mean, this makes a very, very fine line. Exact same paint as the Dilutions, so you know what you're getting. And then I drew around each circle. So that was especially effective when it came to where the circles were overlapping, which is everywhere, because I could really see that. And like here, where the design is not there on that end of the circle, I was able to fill it in with the paint pen. So I was using some of the colors that matched up. So that's what I did a little bit differently this time. Outlined each circle. Okay. And then on the edges of this one, I used the silver of the art Alchemy paint. Then when I quilt this one, I'll bind it so you just see a little bit of that silver. So I would love to free motion quilts. Yes, circles. I free motion circles all the time. Um, but you might want to put some water on the other stamp behind the blue paint bottle.
Okay.
This one, I think I've got all my
Yeah,
stamps are
she's
pretty
talking
much
about that.
covered. Unless you meant this guy here, he had the silver on him. But I think I'm good. But thank you very much for watching out for me. I do need somebody to watch out for me all the time. So there you go. I've done lots of different techniques here, some pickups, some 12 by 14, some new stamps. Stamps are 25% off at joggles.com right now. So use the link below and go and pick up, a whole bunch of new foam stamps. This paint is really, really cool. I think you're really going to like using that along with, so if you're using the dilutions, which are a matte, and then the Art Alchemy that are a shiny, those really work together very nicely in combination. Is there anything else? So then there's also the texture plates. And I think that's it. I think that's everything that we talked about today. The links are below. If you have any questions, you can email me at quiltingwithnancy@gmail.com. I also have a memberships. There's membership opportunities. So if you're looking at the chat go through, sometimes you'll see somebody that has a little quilt block next to their name, like Georgia. That means that she is actually a member. And that helps in a lot of different ways. And it helps you because if you have any really in-depth questions, I can help deal with your in-depth questions either in a live video or on email. And then we also have things like electric quilt training for learning how to design, and the quilt addict level. In the quilt addict level means that, like, when I did this quilt here and I made a pattern for it before I went live, you had the pattern in your email. So you were able to follow along right away. So take a look at that. And I will see you tomorrow at EQ Training, Georgia. Got some really good stuff planned for that. And that's all. I hope you like it. Give me a thumbs up if you do, okay? Comments. I love comments too. Have a great day.